Hello friends, and welcome back to Scaling Stories. Today, I've got some more highly upvoted posts from Best of Redditor updates. Like always, I'll be reading you the posts and giving you my opinions, and I'll also be working on building up my forever world at the same time, so I hope you enjoy. Also, I'm currently only in Spotify's creator program, so watching on there would help me out a ton. Thank you so much for your support. Today's story comes from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. It was posted by throwawaythehatersok on August 21st, 2024, and was titled, Fiancé thinks I'm an ass for not converting. Throwaway, as my main he follows. I've never posted on this sub before, so please delete if not allowed. I, 35 female, and my fiancé, Todd, 41 male, met over a decade ago, and we have a mutual friend group. We started dating last year and got engaged last month. Generally speaking, he treats me like a queen. He spoils me a lot, and I appreciate it always. He's usually respectful and kind, communicative and patient with me. This started to change, and I want to say it started to change once the ring was accepted. I need to be clear, I don't much care to get married. I am perfectly fine with not. My parents aren't married, but they have been in love and together for over 40 years. My siblings are all but one unmarried, but in seemingly happy relationships, each at least for 5 years. But Todd is Christian and is of the mind that two people eventually need to be married to be happy. We talked about it at length, both before we were a couple and after we started dating. I was clear that I don't want or need a ring, but if it's important to a partner I come to love, then whatever. I will do a small wedding. He was overjoyed when he proposed, and I said yes in front of pretty much everyone in our little world, but later said that I didn't seem excited enough, and it felt like I didn't want to marry him. I said I love him, and if he wants a marriage, then sure, but to say I want to marry? I mean, I know he wants to, and if that's what he wants, and since it doesn't really matter to me either way, the math was easy. Let's get married. I said it sort of jokingly to lighten the mood, but he didn't like that at all, and nearly every other day, he would find a way to ask me if I really wanted to marry him, or he would simply say that he feels like I don't. I suggested couples therapy, as it seems to really be on his mind and troubling him, and he said he's done therapy before and doesn't need to do it again. Then, last week, on our usual date night, he said he had something really big to ask me. Call it a favor if that makes it better, and asked me to come to his church and get baptized. I stared at him. I am atheist and have been since I was in my mid-20s. He has known that for years, and we've always been respectful of each other's beliefs. I told him I couldn't do that. Baptism is supposed to be sacred and with a true heart for that faith, and I simply would be a liar if I said I wanted to live for his God because I frankly don't. He argued that it's just a splash of water and some words, and since he wants it before our wedding and I don't care about religion either way, this should be easy. I refused again, explaining that I do care about religion. My majors were world religions and anthropology. I care a lot. And it would be dishonest to his God and our community for me to dedicate my life to his religion outwardly, but not inwardly. I said it felt disrespectful to his faith and the people who truly live it. He got angry with me. Oh, so you're okay disrespecting me though. And when I asked what he meant, he said to drop it and change the subject. I pressed more, but he raised his voice. I said drop it, loud enough for others to turn and look at us. He'd been robotic around me since. Stays up in his study all night, sleeps on his study couch, goes to every service and event/gathering his church has, which is most weekday nights and Saturday morning, as well as Sunday, and has been inviting me to every single one. He hadn't done that since we started dating. He did then. I said I respect his beliefs and will go to something like a wedding or christening or baptism, but not a simple service or event. When he asked me just a few minutes ago tonight, I reminded him of the above, and he just dropped onto our couch and sobbed. And when I went over to comfort and talk to him, he pushed me away and left, muttering something about running late for service. His sister, Esther, texted me to ask what happened. and I gave a brief summary and she texted back that I am being a jerk and one service isn't going to make me burst into flames and it's important to Todd. So, am I being a bonehead? Am I crazy to think that this pressure is a deal breaker? I do love him, but this version of him is not only a stranger to me, but a weight on me. But aren't people supposed to work through that hard crap to get on in a relationship? ScalingStories Corner. Nah. OP is not being a bonehead about this situation. This is a compatibility issue that I think is coming from Todd's side of things. He went into the relationship knowing full well OP was an atheist and didn't want to participate in the church stuff. I mean, she said she's fine with attending weddings and baptisms and stuff, but she doesn't want to do the regular service stuff. That is entirely her right to do, and she informed Todd of this beforehand. If that was a deal breaker for Todd, he needed to get out of the relationship. If this was such a big problem, he needed to find someone who was already in his religion or down to convert. I don't want to say Todd is this kind of person, but I've read stories about how sometimes someone in the relationship ignores what their partner wants in the relationship and tries to strong-arm them into changing or breaking a boundary they previously set. Like they go into the relationship fully knowing they're going to try and change their partner. Like maybe someone was child-free, but then they tried to change their mind about it. And in this case, it was religion. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, "Not the jerk. Time to break up. But dang, I love how so many Christians take their religion less seriously than we do. An insincere baptism is indeed disrespectful, yet so many Christians want non-believers to do it." OP says, "This is what confuses me most. If it's such an important part of his life, how is he okay with me lying and insincerely devoting my life to Christ? I am not against people who have faith, but those that I know who do, truly do beyond platitudes and the mainstream, are kind and loving and would be offended so much if someone faked it and lied about it and went through sacred rites and the like. It doesn't make sense why he keeps switching sides on it." Commenter 2 says, "No, it's a ploy. Oh, just get baptized. It's not that serious. Just some water and some words. Oh, please come to the service. The pastor really wants to meet you. I told the youth leader that you'd help. I'm sure you don't mind. It's for the kids. It's not really religious. Just a prayer at the beginning and end. But, sweetheart, we have to raise our kids in the church. What will everyone think? They've got a script. No, seriously, on how to trickle truth convert someone. He's getting immense pressure from the church to bring you into the fold, to save you, to prevent you from being unequally yoked, to hunt and win a soul for Jesus." OP says, "That is terrifying. I was clear when I left the church eons ago that I am not and will not follow that faith. He never hinted once that I can think of to do what you're saying, but it really makes me think this might be exactly what he's doing. I can't get pregnant, so kids are out of the equation, but I couldn't bear it if he tried to push me more into his church life. I'm involved a bit to make him happy. I do help at certain events and such. I have skills they sometimes need, and I am not at all opposed to a food or clothing or back-to-school drive and the like. I figured it less about it being a church event and more a community event where we helped people." Commenter 3, downvoted, says, "You are clearly not compatible. He seems to be doing lots of stuff for you to be happy, and you are not doing the same for him. Just break up and be done. He treats me like a queen." OP says, "Just to be clear, what doesn't count as stuff for him? Is it that, instead of paying a fraction of his college costs for this upcoming semester, I covered it all for him? Is it that I gave him my old car when his broke down and transferred it to his name without him paying a dime? Oh, hold on, I know. It's because I cook for him every weekday when I am home, do our grocery shopping so he doesn't have that on his plate, let him move in rent-free because he couldn't afford to renew his lease, and even got a he shed out back for him out of my own dime so he has a place to decompress and paint. No, not that. I should have funded his whole mission trip last year instead of half. Is that it? Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's that I do the majority of the housework so he can focus on his degree. Nah, you probably just mean that I took the time last year to find his undergrad college years buddies and flew his mother in for his 40th birthday, had it catered, decorated, and hired a bartender. Or is it more basic, like the fact that when he went vegan, I switched up my whole lifestyle and only eat vegan when out and about and purge all non-vegan items not for the dog from the home. Thank you, because actually, I am now seeing I do so damn much for this man, and he should treat me like a queen because I treated him like a king. This was eye-opening. OP later adds an edit to her post. He texted me a few minutes ago, saying when he gets home, he wants to have a serious talk. I explained that my best friend is over, so it will have to wait, and he replied, no. Tell her to leave. Give her my love, but this is serious. I talked with my bestie, Bessie, 35 female, and read some comments here and told him no, indeed. He can go home to his parents, and he is welcome to come in and pack a bag and leave because Bess is here for me right now, and I need her here for me right now. He hasn't responded. OP later adds a second edit to her post. He has never raised a hand to me. He would never. And if it's not for the reason I used to think, that he's not a dick, it would at least be because I'm a military brat. Both parents. So not only am I trained to defend myself well, but my parents would not take kindly. A lot of people brought up kids. I can't get pregnant. I did want kids. And then this happened. So now I am okay with the idea of not having any. He said he was okay with that too, and we talked about just being dog rescue people. My family likes him. My father, a pastor, loves the guy. But no, I haven't told him about this yet. He is non-denominational and goes to a mega church in our state. Literally thousands of people. No, it is not a requirement for marriage at his church for me to convert. Update 1 week later. Last week, I posted about a problem between myself and my fiancé, Todd, because despite having been respectful of each other's beliefs until now, he is Christian and I am an atheist. He now wants me to get baptized. It came to a head and he stormed out, so I called my BFF to keep me company since I was pretty sad and emotional. I do a lot for him and Bess, the bestie, and a lot of you here helped me see that the relationship, as is, either needs to have serious changes to it or it needs to end. Logical. But logic is hard to cling to when you're heartbroken. I think I already knew he wouldn't change anything for me. I did text him that night that he needs to go back to his parents' house. The house we live in is mine, and that I needed space. Guess he and his sister gave his parents an alternate version of events because they came by that night anyway. All of them. His mom, dad, sister Esther, and him. He had a key, so he just walked in as Bess and I are drinking on the couch, watching Netflix. I asked what he was doing here, and his family came into the room behind him. I asked, what's going on? The way he looked at me is unexplainable, while his mom pushed by him and just yanked me into a very aggressive hug. She said that they were here to talk as a family and have a family meeting, and then told Bess she needed to leave. Bess refused. His mom turns to me to ask to have Bess leave. I refuse. It's late, and I'm in no state to talk about anything else. Please leave. It devolves into passive-aggressive disapproval that I won't take guidance from the man I plan to marry. His parents, his father is a pastor, sat down to give me what felt like a whole pre-planned spiel about how I am an adult and need to act like one, and kicking a man out of his home for doing the right thing is a tantrum. His dad once even said that he is so disappointed in me and will be telling my father, also a pastor, about this. Gotta be honest, I was dumbfounded for 85% of this, and then finally, I guess it was the booze, started to laugh and told him to get out. His dad refused and called me volatile and suggested I get counseling. I told him this is my house and I will call the police and to get the F out. It was the first time I cussed in front of them. Pearls were clutched. I was called trashy, and Bess held her phone like, okay, I am calling the cops. She asked you to leave. I heard his dad say, you are not marrying that, as they left, and they muttered other hurtful things, making a whole thing of them being sad and disappointed by me. They left. Todd packed the bag and left with them. He continued to text me invites to services. It will help you, stating that he is concerned about me and the path I am choosing, that his parents aren't sure he should marry me, but he loves me and wants what's best for me. I told him I need space and to leave me alone, but he kept texting. I said that the wedding is off, and Sunday, when I got home from running errands, he was on the porch crying. He had a handwritten letter that he wanted to read to me, but I said absolutely not and told him to go away. He kept asking me to think about what I am doing and how my choices affect more than just myself and more. I pointed to my doorbell cam and said I have footage of me repeatedly asking him to leave, and Bess was recording the night his parents and sister and he ganged up on me. Go away. He threw his hand up like he was going to strike me, and I just screamed. I didn't even mean to. It was so sudden, and it scared me. He went to start apologizing, but a neighbor came out to see what was happening, and he just left. I texted him to never come back ever. He is no longer welcome. I will mail his stuff to his parents, but he is no longer welcome on my property ever again. He tried to apologize, but I no longer cared to hear any of his words. He did leave his written letter, and I have read it. So has Bess. She keeps telling me it's just manipulation, but it just breaks me. The locks get changed tomorrow. Bess is helping me pack his crap. His father is picking up his stuff tonight. And I am just sitting here, replaying the past week and a half in my head over and over. I know it's pathetic, but I am shattered. I haven't been able to really sleep yet, and I feel like I don't even reside in my own body anymore. Just going through the motions. Bess is staying with me. I've been getting texts and social media comments about how disgusting I am. Like my notifications just went insane over the weekend. This is just a nightmare, and I'm not even sure how to wade through this. ScalingStories Corner. So, yeah. Bringing the entire family to try and peer pressure OP into submitting to him was absolutely unhinged. I would feel crazy disrespected that his family tried to manipulate me like that. And I think Todd does fit that kind of person I was talking about earlier. You think I'd remember that because this story is one I covered like hella long ago when I had the robotic text-to-speech voice. But honestly, I forgot all about what happened. So this is kind of a fresh read for me. But yeah, I think he went into the relationship full well knowing that he was going to try and convert OP into his religion when she didn't want to do it, not caring about what she thinks at all. And that makes him an ultra jerk. He fully wasted OP's time all these years because this was obviously a deal breaker for him. Him positioning like he was going to hit OP is just the added sprinkle on top on why OP should never entertain him as a future partner ever again. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, "It is so hard to believe that he kept hidden that he wanted to convert you before marriage. That is the only explanation for this behavior so far into your relationship and close to marriage. It seems like he was keeping counsel with his parents while telling you what you wanted to hear." OP says, "It's hard for me to fathom this. I thought we loved each other. I would do most anything for him, and I thought he felt the same way. But the way his family came down on me, it was surreal. If Bess wasn't there, I really can't say what they might have convinced me of. It was a lot. They were all basically echoing the same sentiments and making it out that I was deranged and stupid and more. I didn't let them see my tears, but it was a devastating tirade of attacks, and I was so tired and so in my feelings that it was all too much. Bess thinks it was a coordinated effort to overwhelm me into complying, and if I was alone, they would have pushed me over the edge into believing them." Commenter 2 says, "OP, don't meet with the father when he comes to get the stuff. Pile that crap in the yard and let daddy haul it away. As for people blowing up your phone, block every last one of them." OP says, "Bess is here with me, and she will meet him at the door. All Todd's crap is boxed up out front. So, if all goes to plan, I won't even have to see the guy. If not, the people who live in proximity are keeping an eye out." Commenter 3 says, "Why don't you post the footage on social media? From the parents bombarding you to him coming back and trying to strike you. Show them the truth. You have the footage." OP says, "Bess shares your enthusiasm for this option. I am too tired / stressed / hurt to even deal with that. I want to speak with my parents first, make a plan, really be able to make the steps forward that I need. I am so empty but angry, but sad, but 1,000 other things. I'm just not in a state I trust my own judgment right now. Posting it is something that can't be taken back. So, if I do, I want to be sure and above reproach. Second update 3 weeks later. I don't know how to do trigger warnings, only that they are important when writing posts. So, I wanted to add this up here. Physical violence happened. I want to start with, I am mostly okay now. I am safely at Bess's, being fussed over by her hen nests, and finally have been able to sleep and eat somewhat normally. Todd's father was on my doorstep again not long after my last post. Bess told him through the door that everything he needed was right there and to grab it and leave. He got mad, demanding I come out to speak with him, calling me a cowardly and sick woman and other insults. Bess just said he can save it for the camera because I am not there. I was. And he just loaded his car, said he would pray for me, and left. We thought that to be it, but then a couple knocked on the door. I don't know them personally, but I do recognize them as from Todd's church, so I kindly explained that we've broken up and to reach out to their pastor to find him. They then told me they are here for me and asked to be invited in. I said no. The guy asked me to please not be inhospitable, exact word, the F, and I said this will be the last time I politely asked them to leave. So, they left. I ordered no trespassing signs online, but the next day, a different couple from the church pulled the same stunt, except this time, the guy was aggressive. He used my birth name, I changed it legally 4 years ago, and argued with me through the door cam, and his wife kept trying to beg me to keep the peace and come out to talk. I refused. A week after that, Todd was back, but my dad was over. He had heard about this situation and, oddly enough, was trying to convince me to come stay back home for a bit. When Todd was outside, Dad stepped out. Dad's retired military and very tall, and ordered Todd to leave. That's when Dad asked again for me to come home, so I compromised that I would go to Bess's. While I was away, Dad would check on the house, take in packages, and put the no trespassing signs up. He also added cameras and came over to Bess's to make sure I had the app synced. After a few days, I don't know how to explain it, but I just felt cooped up, so Bess and I went with a mutual male friend, Sam, 35 male, for drinks. Todd was there. He walked in about an hour after me and Bess. Sam spotted him first and got up, blocking our booth from him. He saw us and went to the other side of the bar and just sat a while. Sam and Bess asked me if I wanted to leave, and I did, so we went next door. Todd showed up soon after. We moved to the pub next door, and same. It happened 4 separate times, and Bess recorded it each time. Sam drove us around a bit, and we ended up at a different bar miles away, and Sam asked me if I had checked my stuff. We went through my purse and found nothing, but I remembered that my location was on an app I shared with my friends and family. I removed Todd from it and texted a few others to say I was turning my location off and did. I checked my cameras and, sure enough, Todd was parked on the street right in front of my house. He stayed there for over an hour. Sam convinced me to call the police. I could see they talked with him, but it didn't pick up audio that far out. Todd left without incident. I made a full report with the recordings the next day. I was told that he did nothing illegal and he's allowed to exist in public spaces, and that night he was on the street, not my property, so he's off the hook there too. He never approached me. He never spoke to me. He did nothing wrong. So, they can make the report, but no charges are available to me. The cop who told me all this was very condescending, and he seemed to just want to be done with me, so I left. About a week later, I have recordings of him coming to the same parking spot in front of my house 4 times and just sitting there. Then, that Friday, he showed up at the bar Sam works at. Sam had him tossed out, but he refused, and so Sam had him legally trespassed. But when the cops came around, Todd argued that Sam is a bigot and he is targeting him for his faith, and he is friends with my wife, who is atheist. He got a warning but left on his own. I've been with Bess the whole time, but now I think I have to tell my dad, as he's still showing up at my house. Bess is helping me find a lawyer to help, since the police haven't been taking me seriously. This is just so effing insane. It doesn't even make sense. Sam put no trespassing and no soliciting signs on my property, and I am digging into my savings to get a fence up. I can't believe this is my life right now. Edit. So sorry, I put up the trigger warning, but edited out the violence, I think subconsciously, because I didn't want to upset anyone. When Todd came over one time, a neighbor of mine, who knows what's been happening, went up and told him I don't want him there and asked him to leave, and Todd shoved her down to the ground and raised a fist like he was going to strike her, but then drove off. I have the footage and sent it to her in case she wants to press charges. ScalingStories Corner. Nah, that is unhinged. Surely the police have to do something if someone's like stalking you to that degree? And why is he even so obsessed with OP to begin with? Maybe he's upset that he's lost control or whatever in the relationship because OP didn't do what he wanted and he feels slighted because of it? But regardless, that is completely unhinged. I don't have any knowledge or experience with the police in something like this, but I'm shocked that you're not allowed to explain to police that this guy is an ex, could be potentially violent, and has been following you around all night, and they can't at least tell him to stop or don't do that. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, "You are in danger." OP says, "It's why I tried to go to the police, but they aren't doing anything. The best I can do right now is not be in the predictable spaces I used to go to and try to prepare to move." OP says to another commenter, "I am in a southern state of the USA. I am learning from talking with people that it's not uncommon that police aren't all that helpful in cases like this." Commenter 2 says, "Did you give the footage to the police? Because he's escalating to violence now. Even not to you yet, it shows a pattern, and the police should have it on file with your report." OP says, "The police have everything. I have an ongoing email thread with the sergeant, complete with links and folders and all the footage and photos I have. They haven't done anything and say that if my neighbor presses charges, they have the footage on file." Third update, 1 year, 7 months later. Posting on my own account for anyone who cares. Been a minute. I almost didn't update because most updates I see are either the best or worst, and I didn't want to disappoint. But therapy, time, and a chosen family helped me to realize, F that. I should be proud of my journey, and I am. I'm doing this on the move, so sorry if it's jumbled. It has been a little over a year now since my last update, and I honestly never thought I would come back here again. For a while, I couldn't even look at this account without feeling physically sick. That's what dealing with abuse looks like. I never would have imagined he abused me before I started this account, but turns out he did. Emotional abuse is a sneaky bastard, and it got me. So yeah, I didn't want to come back to the account that made me feel stupid at times. It felt tied to one of the worst periods of my life, and, for a long time, I wanted to just lock all of it away somewhere and never think about it again. But life kept happening, good and bad, mostly quieter now, which, I think, maybe is what healing actually looks like. Not dramatic happiness, just quiet. I moved. Not immediately after everything happened, but eventually. I realized I was spending more time staring at camera notifications and checking parking lots than actually living. Every car slowing near my house made my stomach drop. Like, is it him? A friend? A member of the church? It was hard. Every knock at the door felt like my body was preparing for impact when, usually, it was a food delivery. I was exhausted all the time from being scared without realizing my exhaustion, so I rented the house out. Ironically, my renters are probably the most self-sufficient people alive. They're older, veterans, and, within the first month, texted me things like, "Fix the sink, here are pictures, don't worry about reimbursement." They once repaired part of the fence before I even knew there was a fence issue. They know the history. They know why the cameras are there. They were completely unfazed by it all, which honestly helped me calm down too. My dad still checks on the property sometimes because I think retirement has him inventing side quests for himself. Speaking of him, apparently, my father has secretly been a successful romance novelist for years. I wish I was kidding. This man spent my childhood acting like technology was an elaborate government trap, and now I find out he has apparently written multiple religious romance and historical romance novels under pen names. My siblings and I found out because one of his books got recommended in a church women's Facebook group, and the pen name in question was easy to figure out when you're in said family. Anyway, he's retiring soon and honestly seems peaceful in a way I haven't seen before. Less stern pastor dad, and more man who wants tomatoes in his garden and to email you blurry bird photos. LOL. I happen to enjoy gardening, so I've been helping every couple weeks, and it's produced a lot of produce I don't buy anymore. I just grow. Guess he's the family community garden now, lol. As for Bess, she's okay, thankfully, but she ended up moving out of the country after she was targeted in a hate crime. I am not sharing details because it's her story, not mine, but it shook both of us badly. I supported her leaving completely. I miss her all the time, but we still talk constantly and play games online together almost every week. Distance, somehow, has not changed her ability to aggressively mother hen me through a headset. Did you drink water? Did you eat? You sound tired. Why are you awake at 2 a.m.? Sometimes I think, if she could physically emerge from Discord like a ghost and hand me soup, she would. Andrea, the neighbor Todd shove, did initially want to press charges. I gave her all the footage I had, but she moved not long after, and we eventually lost touch outside of occasional holiday messages. I honestly do not know what came of it legally after that. I still feel guilty when I think about her getting dragged into my mess just because she tried to help me. And Todd, I know people will ask. I have not spoken to him directly in a very long time, but there was one thing. Before I moved, I still had access to an old social media/business account I used to help manage for his side business. I can't really explain more without making myself wildly identifiable, but I forgot I even still had access until one day I got tagged in notifications. And there it was, an announcement post. Very polished, very church approved, very God's plan. Todd had apparently married a woman from another church family only a few months after my last update, which was already enough to make me stare at the screen for a full minute, like, what in the Hallmark channel is this? But then, the announcement mentioned they had been quietly courting for nearly 2 years. 2 years! I actually laughed out loud when I read it because, at that point, if I didn't laugh, I think I would have evaporated into atoms. Sir, you were in my house crying about baptism. What do you mean, 2 years? He's also apparently an assistant pastor now, which somehow feels both shocking and exactly where this was always heading. It bothered me at first in a way I can't fully explain. Not jealousy, more like that surreal feeling when someone who traumatized you gets absorbed back into community life seamlessly while you're still trying to remember how to sleep normally. But honestly, that feeling slowly died. I don't spend my days angry anymore. Mostly, I just feel distant from that entire chapter of my life, like it happened to another version of me. I'm seeing someone now, very casually and very slowly. We've only been together a couple months, and we're intentionally taking our time. No rushing, no merging lives overnight, no dramatic forever promises, just honesty, quiet consistency. Turns out, I value consistency a lot now. Who knew, right? Also, I adopted a rescue dog who is approximately 80% pet WHRE and anxiety. And somewhere along the way, I started volunteering more heavily with rescue organizations, specifically helping people in abusive situations keep or safely place their pets temporarily. That became very important to me because one thing I learned during all of this is how many people stay in dangerous situations because they're terrified of what will happen to their animals. A shocking number of shelters still can't accommodate pets. So now I spend a lot of time helping with transport, fostering coordination, emergency supplies, things like that. It feels good to do something tangible, to make somebody's world slightly less frightening for a moment. I still have rough days. Remembering still makes my chest tight. Sometimes, seeing a car similar to Todd's too many times in one day still flips some primitive switch in my brain. But I sleep normally now. I laugh easily again, And more recently, I actually got tipsy and had fun singing with friends at karaoke. I go places without mapping exits first for fun. And for a long time, I genuinely didn't think I would get back to this version of myself. Anyway, that's the update. Also, if my father's secret romance author identity gets exposed and he becomes famous on Christian Book Talk, I am legally changing my name this time because no thank you, sir. Scaling Stories Corner. Well, I don't think I could have predicted the contents of that update no matter how hard I tried. But I think it's ultimately a pretty good update, all things considered, since it looked like Todd and his family were getting super unhinged in OP's earlier update posts. Like, I'm glad no more stalking and physical violence happened around OP, and she gets to live a more normal life now instead of being plagued with hella anxiety about being in danger. So yeah, I hope things keep looking up for her and that she never needs to see or think about her ex ever again. Also, him marrying another woman and saying he's been courting her for 2 years means he was cheating on OP at the time? I'm not sure, but I think that's the case. Either that, or he's trying to repaint his relationship history since he wasn't able to convert OP. Either way, a massive bullet dodged. Okay friends, so that concludes today's video. Leave a like and comment down below to let me know what you thought of it, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.